It's win or lose. He's going to wait till the lower 48 state polls close about 11 p.m. Eastern time. Hundreds of people, as you see, have been waiting out here in the rain to hear what Bill Clinton has to say. This town of 250,000 people, it's like the Super Bowl dropped in on Detroit or Des Moines or Peoria. They're a little stunned, don't quite know what to make of it. But we talked to a few of those folks around today, and as you can see, there's a lot of umbrellas and a lot of expectant people waiting. But overall, so far at least, with all the attention, Little Rock is coping, Dan.
Thanks, Richard Threlkeld, live in Little Rock. Let's whip down to Houston and CBS News White House correspondent Susan Spencer. Yes. Susan, the early news has not been good for the Bush Quayle campaign, but gather that they are not hanging crepe yet, not by a long shot.
Not quite, Dan. I'm at the site of what's supposed to be the Bush Quayle Victory Party. As you can see right now, that party is restricted pretty much to reporters. They've just started to let the guests in. They've just opened the bar, which could prove helpful later on if things don't look very good for Mr. Bush. He is not expected here till after the polls out west close, and it's unclear how soon after that he might show up, depending on how things are going. I was told late this afternoon that he wasn't getting these early projections from the exit polls, that apparently he had decided to wait a little bit until he started getting information. He had a very busy day in any case. He went jogging, he got his hunting license renewed, all of course designed to project this image of optimism in an upset. Dan?
Thank you very much, Susan Spencer, and let's go to Big D, where Patsy Cline is always in favor, and our CBS News correspondent Bill Lagatuda. Bill?
Dan, here in this ballroom tonight, you can bet that they will be playing the Patsy Cline tune "Crazy." That's Ross Perot's adopted theme song now. As you hear, the band is warming up. Ross Perot is going to throw himself a Texas-sized party here tonight in a room that is surrounded appropriately, I think, for this campaign by giant television screens. This was, as you know, almost exclusively a campaign wagered on television. Ross Perot spending up to $60 million of his own money and getting people to tune into a program where a man sits behind a desk and flips through a chart. That was incredible enough in itself. Ross Perot today seemed calm, and we expect him here later tonight, Dan.
Bill Lagatuda live in Dallas. Bill, Clinton has at least 20 electoral votes by our CBS News estimate. President Bush has 12, having carried Indiana. Is there an avalanche in the making? Far too early to say that. The fact that Clinton has carried New Hampshire and Vermont as the evening goes along will raise the question, but we don't have the answer. Dan Rather at CBS News election headquarters in New York.
This is CBS. Take the time to care from TV8.
Lines of the hour. The drama intensifies. Bill Clinton picks up another state. In the words of the West Virginia license plates, West Virginia proves wild and wonderful for Bill Clinton. He picks up 5 electoral votes there. West Virginia has an unemployment rate of 11.3%, so no surprise, but it adds to Bill Clinton's electoral vote total. Now, in Georgia, perhaps the biggest Clinton win of the night because he cracks into what had been the Reagan-Bush strength in the solid South of Deep Dixie. Clinton, we estimate, when all the votes are in encounter, will have Georgia's 13 electoral votes. In Vermont, a state that often goes Republican, this time it does not. 3 electoral votes fall for Bill Clinton in Vermont. Also in New Hampshire, 4 electoral votes in the Granite State. They go to Bill Clinton. Perhaps not since Lyndon Johnson's avalanche win over Barry Goldwater have we seen the early indications of the upper Northeast going for the Democrats. However, we only have decisions so far in New Hampshire and Vermont. Now, in Indiana, good news. The only clearly good news of the night for George Bush and Dan Quayle so far. Quayle's home state, Indiana, after some delay, was called for Bush Quayle. This is with 30% of the precincts actually in and reporting in Indiana, but we believe in the final analysis, when all of the precincts are in and reporting and all the votes counted in Indiana, that George Bush will have carried it. Now, the Electoral Vote College at the moment, with 270 votes needed to win, stands as follows. Bill Clinton with 25. That reflects his just now pickup in West Virginia. George Bush has 12. Ross Perot none, with 270 electoral votes needed to win.
CBS News election night coverage continues. Here again is Dan Rather.
On the half-hour mark, it's now just past 7:30 in the East. Two big states that now have become absolutely must-have for George Bush had their polls closed. That would be North Carolina and Ohio. With the arithmetic now at hand, if George Bush does not carry at least one of those states and probably has to carry both North Carolina and Ohio, it could be sayonara for him. Fact of the matter is the polls have been closed for some time in Florida, Kentucky, and Virginia. No decisions in those states either. We don't have enough information to make what we consider to be a very accurate estimate. So if you add Ohio, North Carolina to Florida, Kentucky, and Virginia, you can say that George Bush, at an absolute rot-gut minimum, would have to have 4 of those 5 states, probably has to have all 5 to stay in the hunt. Florida, Kentucky, Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina. We don't have a call on any of those. West Virginia, we have just put in Bill Clinton's column, which gives him 25 electoral votes. Bush has 12. But the real story is the Republicans not being able to win their states so far. Let's go to the map, and we want to show you. Put the map up again and see how tonight's electoral vote count has changed. Georgia went for Ronald Reagan twice, went for George Bush in 1988, gone, out of here for Bill Clinton. Up in the Northeast, Vermont and New Hampshire, both of which normally go Republican, ditto. West Virginia, as we mentioned, with unemployment so high there, was expected to go for Clinton, but important for him, he got it. Ed Bradley on the presidential desk. Why is Ohio so tight? Generally, Ohio is a state that shades the Republicans in presidential races.
Well, it is, and it's close because of the economy. It's a state that's doing better in some areas than most other states. We took a look at how the voters felt about the economy there, and about a quarter of them said that they were doing better this year than they were 4 years ago, and President Bush wins those votes. 28% say they're doing worse, and Bill Clinton is getting those votes. The battleground will be on the 44% who say that they're doing the same, and that battleground, those people don't fall on either side, because Ohio, more than most states, has a huge percentage of independent voters. Almost half of the voters in Ohio are registered as independents, so that you don't have a natural constituency there that's going to fall for your party. And I might also add, taking a look at North Carolina, Dan, that Clinton is doing 6 points better than Dukakis did in 1988. That's the same picture that we saw in Georgia.
Thanks, Ed Bradley on the presidential desk. Waiting for results. The polls have closed in North Carolina and Ohio. Don't have decisions there. West Virginia falls for Clinton. Clinton is out to an early lead in the Electoral College vote, but let me pause and say that does not mean, not by a long shot, that the election is over. Polls are still open in many places around the country. As we have before, we want to pause and say, if you haven't voted, please vote. Take somebody with you. It does matter. Wherever you think the race is going to go, don't listen to anybody who says, well, you know, I think it's already been decided, or it won't make much difference. Baloney. It matters. Your vote matters. Please go out and vote if you haven't done so already. Now, joining us now is Ron Brown, the chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Mr. Brown, thank you for being with us. A moment ago, Charles Kuralt, in his first essay of the evening, talked about the fact that there's been little talk in this campaign about race relations. Why, and do you think it matters?
It does matter, and I don't think it's true. The fact is that one of the reasons why Bill Clinton's message has resonated so well around America is it's a message of unity, of bringing our people together, of making us one nation, about forgetting these so-called wedge issues which Republicans love to identify that splinter us and tear us apart, but rather to build bridges between us so that we look to the future with hope and optimism. I think it's a good thing for American politics that voters are talking about jobs and the economy and health care and education, things that we can all relate to, things that we all care about.
You're aware, Chairman Brown, that a lot of people say that if Governor Clinton were to win tonight, that he would wake up tomorrow morning with, in effect, a bad hangover, because the country's economic problems are deep and abiding, social problems deep and abiding, and that he would have to realize from the start that he's probably going to be a one-term president if he's elected. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that at all. Bill Clinton is a can-do person. I think there's going to be a lot of talk tonight about strategy and how did we make this happen and what strategic decisions were made when. If Bill Clinton wins tonight, it's because he has been one extraordinary candidate and I believe is going to be a great president. He has a real